Hi guys. It is 2 a.m. right now, and I have no business being awake at this time because I have things that are rather pressing and rather important to do tomorrow. However, I must speak freely to you because I feel this topic is extremely important. And unfortunately, I do not get to choose when I feel inspired. I do not get to choose when I have the ability to speak the most adequately about something that I have spent days interrogating and trying to figure out for myself. And the inspiration is striking at 2 in the morning, and I have to talk about this now. So I'm thinking if you clicked on this video, then somewhere in your mind, you may be having a shred of doubt about a certain situation you're in, or a certain person that has entered your life or existed in your life for some time, or a certain pursuit, a certain sacrifice that you're having trouble figuring out is really for you. You're having trouble figuring out if it is truly your truth. I find myself struggling with this a lot in my day-to-day, and I have struggled with it so immensely in the last 5 years of my life. And I feel as though I had something happen recently. Something, all in all, rather terrible. Something that felt like this moment of everything in my life crashing down around me in the most chaotic way possible, and not even the things that currently exist in my life crashing around me, but also like older chapters and older versions of myself, just this hugely intense and ridiculous situation where I saw everything just genuinely go up in flames. And I allowed it to happen. In fact, I even caused it in many ways. Not in all ways, in many ways. But we're not here to talk about that. This is not a story time. But in this situation happening, I grieved. I have been grieving for the last couple of days. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I can like hardly open my eyes fully because I have just been sobbing. And it's just now hitting me that the whole catastrophe that has occurred in my life the last few days was actually a very good thing and a very huge leap into helping me understand this concept of what truth means to me and what my truth is, and how important speaking and living and always existing in your truth is, and how your life will just slowly but surely fall apart from underneath you if you do not constantly uphold and prioritize what you believe to be true. And I have several things to say in defense of that statement. I have several tips to offer you guys. I just have things to say. I'm not a therapist. I am just a girl. But I think this will be useful. Anyways, yeah. I think I'm gonna change my shirt. Okay, I have a sweater on now. All right, so like I said, I feel as though for the last 5 years of my life, I have really struggled to pinpoint what in my life was important to me. There were like a few things that I knew were important, or a few things that just naturally classified themselves as important to me because they just always existed. But throughout so many moments of my life, I have been way too comfortable doing or agreeing to things that my body or my natural instincts or whatever did not immediately resonate with and immediately like say, yes, this is for me. And for the longest time, I thought that was just because I was young and learning, and that just was not how it worked. You don't always know. On top of that, and this could just be me. I've said this before in other videos. I live in a big city. I live in a hustler city. I live in a city where there's all of these people here chasing a dream. And cities like this can often become this sort of like rat race where it's like, who's gonna get to the top fastest? Like, who's gonna, like, it's like fucking, like, Wipeout. The pursuit of success is something that can make you very, very evil and make you forget who you are as a person in your entirety, and sometimes be willing to try things that, like, are just totally not for you, just because you think that you're gonna get something out of it, or it's gonna help, like, speed up whatever journey you're on to get to where you want to be. I know that works out for some people, and they're okay with that, but I don't know if you should be. I have decided in the last few days that I'm not. Maybe that point resonates with you, maybe it doesn't. That could just be me on my soapbox. I have been a yes person for a lot of my life, and most of the time I have defended being a yes person with this argument of, oh, like, you have to open yourself up to new experiences all the time, you have to try new things, you never know what you're gonna like, which is true. However, in a lot of cases, I fear it is not. I feel as though it is way too easy to become a yes person to the point that it starts affecting your moral compass and your boundaries and just your overall understanding of who you are as a person, because of the fact that so many of us are living in this state where we have all of this information thrust upon us literally all the time. So much so to the point that, like, we're not even really equipped to be able to handle this, right? And I think when there are all these distractions all the time and so many, like, ideas being shoved down your throat, you might not notice this. Honestly, you probably do notice this. But anything you interact with, even briefly, on social media, your phone is immediately gonna, like, just feed into that. It is way too easy to change your mind about things these days. Way too easy. Maybe you're not changing your mind, but you're getting so distracted from the original thing. You're getting so distracted from the core of who you are as a person. And I think I have fallen victim a lot to that in the past. And God forbid you grew up with any sort of figure or structure in your life that caused this relationship with yourself that involved a lot of self-questioning and a lot of certain ideas being forced upon you, or just not being validated by people in your life. God forbid you also had one of those childhoods. It becomes really difficult to know who you are and what you want. And that is a terrible, terrible thing that little by little, even if you don't notice it while it's happening, and you probably won't, but little by little, it eats away at the core part of yourself. To the point where sometimes, like, you don't even really know if that part ever existed. And how you see this manifest physically or mentally is making decisions becomes harder and harder. And when it is completely, totally on you to decide what you want, you will not be able to do that. I beg of you, do not let this cycle become a part of your life. Because here's why. As someone who has experienced really, really heavy phases of being overly willing to compromise what I know to be true to me, and having done it for a long period of time, thank God I had the realization I did recently, and I really feel saved because of it. But it is such a painful place to live in, because with the surplus of information that we have coming our way, there are lots of people that feel really confused about who they are, kind of lose themselves in the cacophony of everything. But there are also a lot of people that have been affected by that surplus in the opposite way and become very, very certain of who they are. And in most cases, that is a good thing, but also not. And there is for sure a healthy balance that exists somewhere in between the spectrum of, I'm so confused all the time, I don't know what I want, I don't know who I am, and I absolutely know who I am, and no one's going to tell me any different, and you can't change my mind, and everything I do is right. There is a healthy balance in between there. But when comparing those two things, 90% of the time, the person who is unsure of themselves is going to lose. And if you are someone who is unsure of yourself, you can bet your fucking ass. Every person who leans on this side of the spectrum is going to come into your life. They're going to be knocking down the fucking door to get into your life. And once they are in, and once they are affecting you, it will be even harder to pull yourself out of that confusing pit, and you will probably sink deeper into it unless you can snap out of it, remember who you are, and turn on the part of your brain that's like, wait a minute. No, I know what I want. But the more you're confused and the more you just allow other people to plow over you, the ability to do that becomes less and less strong. So if you're someone who is confused right now, you feel confused, you're like kind of okay with whatever's happening in your life, but like there is this inkling of something that does not sit with you, please, I beg of you, listen to that inkling, because it never really like goes away, right? But the more you push it down, eventually when you do snap back into your senses and realize like, oh wait, I know what the answer is. I know what I want, will be so immense. And rightfully so, because if you're lying to yourself, you're probably lying to the people around you too. And you have probably built a whole entire kind of world around lying to yourself. And once you stop lying, everything has to change when you realize that you don't want that anymore. And once you realize that and stick to it and find yourself again, things get better. But first, they must get really, 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 really bad. And you don't always get to choose what that really bad looks like. So if you can, you should choose it now. I promise you, whatever you're existing in that you know is not right for you at your core, the earlier you nip it in the bud, the less time you will have to spend picking up all of the pieces when it's all done and over with. And either way, eventually it's going to become this beautiful realization that is going to positively impact your life in so many ways. But why put yourself through the turmoil of just letting it build up like that? Don't do that, queen or king. Don't do that, you. But if you do, just know it feels really good on the other side. I am on the other side now and don't fully know what is coming. I have a strong suspicion, but I am very, very happy with the newfound state of uncertainty I have, because it is a state of uncertainty where for the first time in a really long time, I actually know who I am and what I want and what I do not want. And uncertainty with those pillars in place is really not uncertainty. Because even if you don't know how the good things you want are going to get to you, you know that they will get to you because you're literally not going to let anything else get to you. That's kind of amazing. So say the hard thing. Hurt someone's feelings to protect yours. Hurt someone's feelings as a reminder of what yours are. I'm not telling you to go tell people to jump off a bridge or whatever. You don't have to do that. But boundaries and telling people no and communicating things even if the other person doesn't want to hear them. Walking away from something even if in the moment it doesn't seem like the best thing to do. We literally have the ability to do that as a way of revealing what it is we actually want. Do not sleep on that being something that you can choose to do every day, please, because it is so, so, so important to you and your happiness and just everything. And it's never going to go away. The things you want are literally never going to go away. Especially if you've wanted them for a really long time, you're going to continue wanting them. It's not going to go away. So you might as well just be honest with yourself and stick up for that. I think that's all I have to say. I'm sorry that this video was so candid, but I think that maybe made it better, and I hope this was helpful and inspiring. I'm going to go to sleep now. Or maybe I won't. I don't know. I kind of feel great. Okay. Bye.